Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Pat Sherwood. Tommy Marquez and Matt Chan will be along momentarily. Looking forward to the fourth and final week of the regionals. But first, we got to wrap up week number 3, and that means it's time for Pat's top performer. Who wins it this week?
This week was rather easy for me. The pick goes to Valerie Volbrel. She won the SoCal Regionals last week through incredible consistency. And just in case somebody out there is not familiar with Val, here's a little bit about her history. She's been to the games several times as an individual. One of them in 2009 had to withdraw because of medical reasons. But the other 3 that she went the whole way through, 2 third-place finishes and a 5th. So, I mean, incredible consistency even at the games level, and she's heading back.
And when you look at the Southern California region this past week, it's really something that we've seen repeat itself throughout the 3 weeks, and that's that there's an individual there who kind of serves as that human monkey wrench, kind of gums up the whole works. Last week it was Lauren Fisher. If you take her out, it's Lindsay Valenzuela who's in that 3rd spot. Yeah,
Lauren Fisher was the real deal, and we were kind of chatting up a bit as, you know, younger athlete. Is she going to be able to do well under the pressure as an individual? She was a former member of the CrossFit Invictus team, so she, has experience on that side of the house. Pressure even from the family. Her brother Garrett Fisher took 5th at the games last year, and she was incredible. Only 2 finishes outside of the top 4, and actually only 1 point away from Becca Voigt, who was in 2nd. So as legit as they come.
One region that's going this following weekend is the Southwest. They're full of X factors down there, and for more on that, let's go over to Tommy Marquez and Matt Chan.
Thanks, Sean. There's been no shortage of shakeups on the men's side in the Southwest Regional. And Matt, with your absence as a 6-time Games athlete and the absence of Zach Force, who's also a qualifier from the Southwest last year, there's quite the void at the top. And 3 men in particular, as we see here after the Open, who are also the top 3 seeds, have stepped up to try and take that void in Tommy Hackenbrook, Adrian Conway, and Brennan Fjord.
Yeah, with these 2 guys going individual, it opens up a new competition. And we've got Brennan Fjord, returning regionals competitor, finishing 15th last year. I still think he needs another year of maturity to really do well in the Southwest region.
So we're familiar with Tommy and Adrian from the team side, winning back-to-back affiliate cups. But when you factor in veterans like Chris Spieler, Matt Hathcock, Chris Hoppy, how do you think they're going to be able to shake up that top 5, and who do you think is going to be in the podium going to Carson?
I think those 2 individuals, Tommy and Adrian, will both be in my top 5. But the guy that I'm going to see in the 5th place spot is going to be Chris Hoppy. I think that we'll see Chris, as a returning Southwest Regional competitor, do very well in this region again. He's well-rounded, and I think he's been working on the skills and drills that he needs to do well this weekend. I think in the 4th place spot, we're going to see Matt Hathcock. He did make it to the games in the 2013 CrossFit Games, but I think that he fell victim of working on his strengths more than his weaknesses. I think when he comes into this weekend, some of the technical gymnastics might not favor him. We'll find out by the end of the weekend. Chris Spieler, 6 times game competitor, never count him out. I think he's going to do very well in this Southwest region. I think that we're going to see that he's going to do poorly in the first event, snatching a weight that will probably put him in the mid-30s. But I know Chris, and I know that he's going to fight back and take somewhere in the top 3 for the rest of the events. I'm going to see Tommy Hackenbrook in the 2nd spot. Almost certain of this. I think he's a good enough athlete and well-rounded enough that he's going to perform extremely well in the Southwest region. But I do think that Tommy has some issues with gymnastics that may prevent him from holding this spot. We'll have to see how that works out. I know he's got some things in his overhead position that prevent him from doing very, very well. And then finally, Adrian Conway. This is the guy that I was nervous about when I was still in the hunt for the 2014 games. He makes me nervous because he's such a good athlete and he works extremely hard. I don't know if he has too many weaknesses.
So there you have it, the top 5 straight from Matt Chan, 4-time winner of the Southwest region. So the absence of a few games qualifiers and the reemergence of 2 members from the team going individual again this year should make for an exciting race for the Southwest Regional men's podium.
Thanks, guys. Let's turn our attention now to the Northeast. Who do you see being an X factor up there on the men's side?
I'm going to give you a few names,
Okay.
2 gentlemen first, that are not just X factors, but could occupy a top 3 position and go to the games.
All right.
First, Matt Frazier. Kid strong as hell, former Olympic lifter, so good that he actually had aspirations of going to the Olympics in 2016 for Team USA. Broke his L5, kind of shattered those dreams. searched out an affiliate that just had bumper plates that he could lift. Danielle Horan spotted him, said, hey, you got a lot of talent. Talked him into going to regionals last year, which is 8 months under his belt, and took 5th.
Wow.
So now fast forward a year later, much more well-rounded athlete. He could very easily take one of the top 3 out there. Also, James Hobart, the baby-face killer. He's been competing since 2009. 09 and 2010, it was on individual. Last 3 years on CrossFit New England's team, and has been spending some time this year training with the champ, Rich Froning Jr.
Never a bad idea.
So he's done everything he can to set himself up for success.
On the women's side, I know there's a former gymnast there who you think could make some noise.
Rachel Martinez is who you speak of.
Yes.
Little power pack, 5'1", 127 pounds, former gymnast at the University of Maryland. 11 years after leaving that school, still holds some records. So dedicated to CrossFit that she moved so she could go to CrossFit New England and train with Ben Bergeron. And she's not just a bodyweight person just because she was a gymnast. Here are her stats. 215-pound clean and jerk, 165-pound snatch, and wait for it, 110 consecutive, you're like, all right, what, air squats? Kipping handstand push-ups.
110.
110, triple digits, without
Okay.
coming off the wall. So I don't know how she is at strict, but I think she can knock out a few.
I think she'll be okay.
I think she'll be all right.
Let's go to NorCal now, and on the men's side, you have your usual suspects there, and Jason Khalipa, and Garrett Fisher, and Neil Maddox. But there are some men who could throw a monkey wrench into this thing.
Undoubtedly, and none of those men have it easy because remember this year that past champions rule is gone. So Khalipa's still in the mix. Wes Pyatt, he was in SoCal last year, took 3rd spot right behind Leverage and Bridges, so incredible company to earn a spot to the games. Moved up to NorCal this year and didn't really make his life any easier just because Leverage and Bridges aren't here. He's got to deal with Khalipa, Neil Maddox, Garrett Fisher, Marcus Philly, Gabe Subry, Blair Morrison, etc., etc. So Wes has his work cut out for him, but capable athlete, and he could really mix up that leaderboard.
On the women's side, you have a ton of Games veterans who are vying for those 3 spots, but you also have some very talented newcomers.
Yes, and one that we know rather well, one of our buddies' fiancés, Brooke Entz. If you don't know who Brooke Entz is, you probably recognize her image if you competed in the Open. She was that blonde beast that did all the Open Standards videos. Well, guess what? Those muscles aren't just for show. She's not just a display model only. Found CrossFit several years ago out in Salt Lake City, trained under Tommy Hackenbrook at CrossFit Ute, and now she enters the regionals in the 5th seed, and still to this day is trained remotely by Tommy Hackenbrook.
We actually caught up with Brooke, and she gave us her thoughts on this upcoming weekend at the NorCal region.
I'm not going to win every event, but I feel like my strengths and what I've developed since training this past year, I'm going to be really balanced. And probably my goal and the way I'm thinking about it before I go into the weekend is finishing in the top and being consistent over every event and not having any real big holes.
So Brooke is a rookie we're going to be looking at, but there's also a big-name veteran there who could find herself in the top 3.
Oh yeah, I think the events this year play really well as somebody that just missed qualification last year. And that lady is Annie Sakamoto. She was just 1 point away from a qualifying spot. She's one of the original Nasty Girls in that inspirational video on CrossFit.com, and now we have Nasty Girls version 2 coming up at the regional, so I think she's going to be just fine. And the rope climb squat clean event hurt her last year, so hopefully she's paid attention to that and she can climb a rope.
4 more regions in the 4th and final week of regionals: Northern California, Southwest, Northeast, and Africa. Live streaming from the North American region starts Friday morning. For Pat Sherwood, Tommy Marquez, Matt Chan, I'm Sean Woodland, and we'll see you next time.